Have you ever bumped into someone and instinctively said, "Oh, excuse me," or tried to get a waiter's attention with a polite, "Excuse me"? It feels like such a natural, automatic part of our daily lives, doesn't it? But have you ever stopped to wonder where this little phrase came from and why it holds so much power in our social interactions? Well, today we're going to dive into the fascinating history of "excuse me" and uncover how it became one of the most important phrases in polite society. Our story begins centuries ago in the royal courts of medieval Europe, particularly in France. In these highly structured and formal environments, etiquette wasn't just about being nice. It was a complex system of rules that dictated your status and survival. The French phrase "excusez-moi" was born here. Originally, it wasn't for accidentally bumping into someone in the market. It was a formal request for forgiveness or permission used when a courtier needed to leave the king's presence or had committed a minor breach of courtly protocol. Saying "excuses-moi" was a way of acknowledging the hierarchy and showing deference to those of higher rank. It was a plea to be pardoned for a small social misstep. As the influence of French culture spread across Europe, so did its language and customs. The English aristocracy, always keen to adopt sophisticated French trends, began incorporating "excuse me" into their own vocabulary during the 17th and 18th centuries. At this point, it was still primarily a phrase used by the upper crust. It was a marker of refinement and good breeding. If you used "excuse me," you were signaling that you belonged to a class of people who understood the subtle rules of polite society. It was less about a genuine apology and more about performing politeness. The real turning point came with the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries. For the first time in history, huge numbers of people from all walks of life were flocking to rapidly growing cities. Suddenly, you were living and working in close quarters with complete strangers. Crowded streets, bustling factories, and packed public transport became the new normal. This created a brand new social challenge. How do you navigate these crowded public spaces without constantly causing offense or conflict? This is where "excuse me" had its moment to shine. It transformed from an aristocratic formality into a practical tool for everyday urban life. It became the go-to phrase for managing the unavoidable physical interactions of city living. Need to squeeze past someone on a crowded sidewalk? "Excuse me" accidentally jostle someone on the bus. "Excuse me," it became a verbal lubricant, a simple, effective way to acknowledge a minor intrusion into someone's personal space and signal that no harm was intended. It was a way of saying, "I recognize you, I respect your space, and this small inconvenience is not an act of aggression." As society became more democratic and the middle class grew, the ideals of politeness and etiquette trickled down. Books on manners became bestsellers, teaching people how to behave properly in all sorts of situations. "Excuse me," along with "please" and "thank you," was cemented as one of the Magic words, the fundamental building blocks of a civil and respectful society. It wasn't just about avoiding conflict anymore. It was about actively creating a more pleasant and considerate environment for everyone. It evolved from a request for pardon to a gesture of mutual respect. So, the next time you say, "Excuse me," remember its incredible journey. It started as a formal plea in the courts of kings, became a status symbol for the aristocracy, and finally evolved into an essential tool for navigating our modern, crowded world. It's a tiny phrase with a huge history, reminding us that politeness is the glue that helps hold our society together. It's a small acknowledgement of our shared humanity in a busy world. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical deep dive. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the fascinating stories behind our everyday lives. See you in the next video.